Hi, in the previous module, we learnt about Android apps, the languages and environment used to make these apps, and even saw the basic syntax for coding in XML and Kotlin. In this module, we will dive straight into the world of Kotlin and learn how to code in this language. Let us begin by looking at a brief history of how Kotlin came to be used as the fundamental language for making Android apps. When Android was launched in 2008, people started developing apps using Java. Along with Java, C++ was also used to develop more complex Android apps. However, Java remains significant and the fundamental language for developing Android apps. All the Android repositories were coded in Java, and the developers also used Java with a lot of interest. Though Java is a user-friendly and popular language, yet it has its own drawbacks. The syntax was too lengthy, and one has to write a lot of redundant code to perform even a small operation in Java. In technical terms, we call this redundant code as the boilerplate code. Java had a lot of boilerplate code. So that was one problem. Parallelly, things looked like this at Google. Google provided the development kit for Android, which could be used in already existing IDEs like Eclipse and IntelliJ IDEA. But then, Google thought of having an IDE especially designed for creating Android apps. For this, Google contacted JetBrains, the company which had created IntelliJ IDEA, and together they built the Android Studio in 2012. In 2013, Google announced Android Studio to be the official and fundamental IDE for creating Android apps using Java. So that resolved the second concern about having an IDE especially designed for developing Android apps. But let's go back to the first problem, the boilerplate code of Java. Developers at JetBrains were also unhappy about it. So they came up with the idea of creating another language for coding Android apps. This language would be more powerful, easy to use, and would not have boilerplate code. They worked day in and day out to make it happen. They skipped their dates on Valentine's in 2016, and on 15th February 2016, they released the first official stable version of Kotlin, the new language they had made. Kotlin was an instant hit. It created a wave of excitement in the developer community and was eagerly and readily accepted. Soon, Google also realized the power and popularity of Kotlin, and they started working with Kotlin in the field of Android development. Later that year, Google started giving support for Kotlin in Android Studio to observe the reaction of the users towards Kotlin. To their amazement, everyone loved Kotlin and wanted more out of it. Google also happily accepted the change. And in Google I/O 2017, they announced Kotlin to be the fundamental language for the development of Android apps. Since then, Kotlin has never looked back on its journey to become the best language for creating Android apps. Yet, some people still remained skeptical of using this new language and preferred to stick with Java. But instead of hating on them, Kotlin embraced these people and is fully interoperable with Java. This means that Kotlin and Java work together flawlessly. So, let's say if an app has 10 files, 5 written in Java and 5 in Kotlin, the app will work as expected. After all, they are both family in the field of Android development. What this means is that Kotlin has the same roots as Java and works on the same machine as Java. It has all the good qualities of Java and does not have its drawbacks. So, that was a glimpse into the history of Kotlin and Android development and how it all started. Throughout this training, you will encounter many names which will have the word Java in them, like Java Virtual Machine and Java Development Kit. Don't get confused by these, since now you know that Kotlin and Java are closely related when it comes to the development of Android apps. Now that we know all about the history of Kotlin and its inception, let's move ahead and learn more about it. By the end of this topic, we will learn how to write code in Kotlin. So, let's begin by looking at some technical terms that are used while defining Kotlin. Target to JVM, Kotlin is a cross-platform, statically typed, general-purpose programming language with type inference. Kotlin is designed to interoperate fully with Java, but type inference allows its syntax to be more concise. Kotlin is sponsored by JetBrains and Google through the Kotlin Foundation. This looks like a complicated sentence, and most of you must not have understood all the terms used. So let's dissect this sentence and look at some important terms that are used here. These are the terms that we will be looking at. So first, let's see what is JVM. A Java Virtual Machine, JVM, is a virtual machine that enables a computer to run Java programs as well as programs written in other languages, Kotlin as of here, that are also compiled to Java bytecode. So, we know that computers understand a language differently than humans, right? Therefore, all the code written in any language needs to be converted to computer-friendly code. And this is done by a compiler. A Java compiler converts code written in Java, Kotlin, and other similar languages into Java bytecode. We will see more about Java compiler in a while. Now, JVM is the machine that takes this Java bytecode given by the Java compiler and executes this code. So, it is like a virtual machine that resides inside our actual machines, computers, laptops, etc., and helps us execute our Kotlin code. This flowchart here shows the process that we just described. Now let's look at the next term, that is cross-platform. So, Kotlin has been described as a cross-platform programming language. So the code written in Kotlin for Windows can be executed on Mac OS and Linux too, and vice versa. Now, the next term is that Kotlin is a statically typed language. Statically typed programming languages do type checking. That is, they verify and enforce the constraints of types at compile time. This means that the language is able to tell the data type of any variable during the compile time and does not allow a variable to have values of different data types in a single program. We will understand it in detail when we learn about variables in the next topic, so don't worry if this does not make much sense to you right now. Now, the next term is type inference. This means that Kotlin can automatically detect the data type. We will learn more about data types in the upcoming topics and then this term will be clear to you. For now, all you need to remember is that Kotlin is a statically typed programming language and has type inference. So that was all about the key features of Kotlin. Click Next to proceed. So now, before we start writing code in Kotlin, the question arises that where do we do so? If you remember, in the previous module we had said that we use the Android Studio to write code in Kotlin in order to create Android apps. But what if we only want to write code in Kotlin and not make an Android app? Will we still use Android Studio to write code then? No. We will use another IDE to do so, since Android Studio is used to make only Android apps. This IDE is IntelliJ IDEA. It is used to write and run code written in Kotlin and many other languages. Now, just like Android Studio required the SDK, similarly, the IntelliJ IDEA requires JDK or Java Development Kit. So let's begin by installing JDK in our systems. Before installing JDK, we will first find out the type of Windows installed in our system. For doing this, follow these steps. Right-click on My Computer, then click on Properties. Now check the system type of your Windows given here. This information will come in use when we download the JDK. So let's proceed with it. Let's go to Google and type Java JDK for Windows. Now click on Java SE Development Kit 8. On the next page that opens up, select the radio button for Accept License Agreement. Now here, download the JDK version for the system type that we checked earlier. If your system type was a 64-bit operating system, then download the Windows 64 version. Else, if your system type was a 32-bit operating system, then download the Windows 86 version. Now, after you have downloaded the JDK, click on the installer.exe file. Click on Next. Click on Next. Then click on OK. And then click on Next again for Java to be installed in your system. Then click on Close. Now once the installation is complete, open the command prompt. To do this, press the Windows and R keys together, type CMD here and hit Enter. The command prompt will open up like this. Now type the command javac to check if Java is installed properly. Now here, if you see, you will get this error message. This error message occurs because the system does not know the location where Java has been installed and placed in the system. So in order to make the system recognize Java commands, we need to set up its path. So let's do it now. Right-click on My Computer and click on Properties. From the left-hand Options menu, select Advanced System Settings. Now here, click on Environment Variables. From the region of System Variables, select Path and click on Edit. Now, go to My Computer and open C drive and then click on Program Files. In the Program Files folder that opens up, find the folder named Java and open it. Here, open the JDK folder and inside it open the bin folder. Now copy the path of this folder from here. Once this is done, we'll go back to the System Variables dialog box and click on New. Now here, we will paste the path that we had copied earlier. Then click on OK. Now click OK 2 more times. It's done. Now let's open the command prompt again and type javac. When you hit enter, you will see that the error message does not appear this time, and instead, we get a list of options on the screen. This means that we have successfully installed Java in our systems. For Mac and Linux users, the steps for installation of JDK have been given in the helper text below. Click Next whenever you are ready. Now let's install the IntelliJ IDEA in our systems. Let's go to Google and type IntelliJ IDEA. Let's go to this first link and click on this download option here. Now on the website, let's click here to download the .exe file for the community version. The file will start downloading. Once the file has downloaded, we will open the file. Then we click Next here. On this next screen, do not make any changes and click Next. Then click Next again without changing anything. Then click on Next again and then we click on Install. This will install the IntelliJ IDEA on your system. After the installation, select the Run IntelliJ IDEA Community Edition checkbox and click Finish. Now on the next window that opens, click on the Do Not Import Settings radio button and click OK. Now once this opens, you will see the Theme Selector page. You can choose to select any one of the two. For this training, we will select the Light theme. Then click on Next Default Plugins. Now here, click on Next Featured Plugins without changing anything. On this next screen that comes up, you do not need to install anything, so simply click on Start using IntelliJ IDEA. So now, IntelliJ IDEA has been successfully installed on your system. For Mac and Linux users, the steps for installation have been given in the helper text below. Click Next whenever you are ready. Now, before we start writing code in IntelliJ IDEA, let's understand the process of running a code written in Kotlin in our systems. So, in video 2 of this topic, we said that we need a Java compiler to compile the code written in Kotlin. And we need JVM to run this compiled Java bytecode. Also, in video 3, we also said that we need IntelliJ IDEA and JDK to write and run code. You must be wondering that why do we need so many things to write and run our code, and where do these 4 elements fit in the puzzle? This flowchart shows the entire process from the time we write code in Kotlin till the time we see the output of the code on our screens. Now let's start with writing code. So, the code can be written in any text editor, even in something as basic as Notepad. Then this code needs to be compiled and turned into Java bytecode, which is done by the Java compiler. Now, the JDK, apart from providing libraries, also works as the Java compiler. That is why we used the javac command in our command prompt when we installed the JDK, so that it can compile code. So, now we know that the JDK provides us with the Java compiler. Next, we are left with JVM and IDEA. So, JVM is already present in all our systems, whether it is a Windows or Mac or Linux-based system. All these systems have JVM pre-installed in them, which means that the code compiled by JDK will automatically run and will get executed if we give the right commands. So then, where does IntelliJ IDEA fit in this picture? Well, if you want, you can write code in Notepad and use the command prompt to compile this code and run it by giving appropriate commands. But it is better to write code using IntelliJ IDEA or any other IDE. First, let's understand some problems that you will face if you use Notepad or any other text editor to write code. These are: the code written in a text editor is not properly indented and color-coded. This reduces the readability of long pieces of code. Indenting the code properly is a good practice that every programmer must follow. So using Notepad to write code is not very helpful. You will need to constantly use the command prompt and will have to give commands to compile and run this code. To overcome these problems, we use IntelliJ IDEA. Here are some features of IntelliJ IDEA. IntelliJ IDEA lets us write and run code in its own environment. Moreover, it also makes relevant suggestions about writing code. It indents the code and color codes it to make the code easier to read. Also, it automatically uses JDK to compile and run the code without us having to give any special commands, and gives the output. Thus, it is an environment that organizes our work and makes it easy to code. Okay, so now that we know the function of all the elements that are required to write, compile, and run the code, let's proceed towards writing code in Kotlin. Click Next whenever you are ready. Now that we have installed both JDK and IntelliJ IDEA, it's time to create a new project and start getting our hands dirty with Kotlin. We will learn to write a simple program in Kotlin that prints the words "Hello World." So, let's begin by opening IntelliJ IDEA. This is the first screen you will see. Now, as you can see, the version of IDEA that we are using is 2019.1. This version may get updated when you download IDEA for your systems. So some of the look and feel may change, but the overall functionality should broadly remain the same. Also, we recommend you to use the latest version only. Now here, we will click on Create New Project. On the screen that opens, select Kotlin from the left panel and JVM/IDEA from the right panel. Then click Next. Now here we need to write the project name. So let's give the name as Hello World. Next, we need to select the project SDK. So let's select this and then click Finish. A new project will be created and you will see this screen. Over here, you will see the project folder with the name of the project. You can drop down this folder to see the .idea and src folders. Right-click on the src folder and select New and then click on Kotlin file/class. Now here, write the name of the file as Hello World and click OK. A new Kotlin file will be created for you. This is the space where we will write our code in Kotlin. So let's begin. Let's start by typing out this piece of code. Now let's understand this code. As you will see, there is some text written after these double forward slashes. In Kotlin, any text after these two forward slashes or between these is ignored while running the program. This is because anything written here is considered a comment and is not a part of the main program. So then, why are they written? That's because comments help us understand what a particular program does. When the code of an application or a complex program becomes extremely lengthy, it becomes difficult for a third person to understand it without external help. This is where comments come in handy. In this case, comments help us understand what a piece of code does. Therefore, it is a good practice to add comments to your programs. Now, this represents a single-line comment and this represents multi-line comments. Moving on, we see the word fun here. As we have explained earlier, fun is a keyword used to declare any function. Now the question arises that what is a keyword? Well, a keyword is a word that is reserved by a language and given special meaning. When we say reserved, what we mean is that these words cannot be used at any other place in the program. Here, the keyword fun is short for function. So then, what is a function? A function is a collection or piece of code that returns some results. And every function in Kotlin needs to have a name. So here, the name of our function is main. But why have we used the word main here? Aren't you curious to know if you can change this name to any other name? Well, let's try for ourselves. Let's change this name main to internshala. Did you notice something? The moment we did this, the little green triangle that was present on the left side of the keyword fun disappears. This triangle helps us run our code. So the fact that it disappears means that we cannot run this code anymore. Now if we can use any name of the function name, then why did this happen? Well, that's because main is actually a special function in Kotlin. So the main function is the entry point to any program in Kotlin. You can create many functions with different names in a program, but the one function that always needs to be present and is automatically called by every Kotlin program is the main function. This function is called while executing a program to get things started. So let's change this name back to main for now. Now, we have these parentheses after the function name. The parentheses are always present after the function name. Then we have these opening and closing braces. These contain the body of the function. As of now, we have not put anything inside the body of the function. It just has this comment saying that the program code comes here. So that was all for now. In the next video, we will learn how to use this program to print the text "Hello World" on the screen. Now let's continue with this program and print the text "Hello World." We will use this code to print the text. Now let's understand what this code means. As you can see, we have used the word println here. Println is a predefined function in Kotlin, just like the main function. Now if you notice this pattern, you will see that we have used the name of the function and then these parentheses here. Similarly, we have used the name and parentheses here. Using the name of the function and parentheses is the general syntax for writing a function in Kotlin. So, whenever you see something like this or this, you will immediately know that we are referring to a function. Now, let's get back to this println function. The name is suggestive enough. This function is used to print the text. The characters ln stand for a line. So the println function is used to print the text and then shift the cursor to a new line. What happens is that the moment the compiler sees the function println, the text gets printed and then the cursor moves to the next line. We can also use the print function here instead of println, which will leave the cursor on the same line after the text gets printed. And lastly, this here in double quotes is the text that we want to print. So, this completes our first program in Kotlin. Let's run this code and see the output. To do this, you need to click on this green triangle present on the left side of the main function. Now here in the output window, we see the output of our program. The output will remain the same in this case if we use print instead of println, because this code has only one line of output. Before we end the topic, here is a small learner activity for you. Try using the println and print functions one after the other and see if the two pieces of text get printed in the same line or in different lines. Also, then reverse the order and first use the print and then the println functions and see the way the text is printed. So that was all for this topic. Click next whenever you are ready to practice some coding yourself.